also want to say to you, the family is better than the church in many ways. Number one is that the family is less complex. It's a homogeneous group. We speak the same language. Here you have to be changing between languages and cultures. But the family ought to be an easy church to run. It doesn't have these complications that we have. The family has more time than the church. Here you want to stay 2 hours, and then you will complain this preacher is preaching too long, and we must rush for that, and for that, and for that. Even if we were to release you and ask you to come back, you would find it very difficult. Very easy. Sometimes as a family we have 24 hours to ourselves. Amen? Amen. We have had days in my family when the Bible study was supposed to take 1 hour, it ended up taking 2 hours. And then even go into the breakfast time because we just find ourselves enjoying. That's the beauty of the family. We have just as much time to ourselves compared to the church. And I'm saying to you, for that reason, families ought to do better than the church. The families have more resources than the church. You see, this is all what we have in terms of church. You want to run a church from the sofas, you can do that. You want to run the church from the bedroom, you can do that. Call all the children, today we're going to pray in my bedroom. Whatever is convenient. And we can even have cold drink in between the church services. It's not very easy here. You must organize it. So the family has much better resources than the church. And I'm saying to you, our families ought to do better than the church. We have the same interests, both physically and spiritually. And I'm saying to you, you can do better. But there is a sleeping giant that we must wake up. If we're going to have a revival, if we're going to have strong churches, if we're going to be able to impact on our nation, because the family has a much bigger influence than the church. The reason why sometimes some of the things don't happen here, once at home they say, don't take that thing serious that the pastor said. No, this pastor is demanding too much. Everyone comes here with that attitude that this pastor is demanding too much. Don't take her serious. That's how powerful families are. But you can also change the tone. If you say, we're going to church, we're going to make it, it's going to be nice, everyone come expecting it's going to be nice. It doesn't matter how much the preacher preaches. Because the children and the family, everyone comes home with an attitude of winning. In one church, it was a Father's Day, and the pastor called for an offering for some project in the church. And this woman sitting next to the husband says, honey, can we give 5,000? And this man just stood still. He didn't shake the head, neither up and down nor sideways. Anyway, this lady who was taking care of the family finances decided we've paid for the fees, we've paid for everything. We still had about 10,000 remaining in the bank. So she thought it's not going to harm to make a 5,000 rand contribution. She took out the checkbook and wrote and showed the husband, put it, and this husband didn't say a word. At the end, the pastor invited the men, all the men were going for lunch at such and such a restaurant. So the husband said to the family, come, let's get into the car. And in the mind of an innocent wife, she thought this man wants to go and drop them at home and quickly ran to go and join the men. And she also said to the children, hey, you're delaying, daddy, come. So they went into the car and they drove home. This man was quiet all the way. And the woman thought, this man must really be thinking about the lunch he's going to. When they got home, he said, daddy, just drop us here at the gate, don't go in. Says, no, open the gate. All right, they opened the gate, opened the garage. And she was surprised. Got into the home. He put the car in the garage, quietly went into the house. Give us food. And then she started to sense the mood was different. This man was offended by the 5,000 that this woman gave. And I always tell the girls, you girls who are looking for husbands, you don't marry a stingy man, you'll be unhappy the rest of your life. Don't marry a stingy man. Remember, women have a gift of buying. They buy even the things that they will think about after they bought, what do they want to use them for? So don't marry a stingy man. But this man was so upset because of just the 5,000. Now you can imagine the message that is being sent to the rest of the family. His children are going to grow knowing you don't just give as much to the church. So we want men to liberate their wives and children into giving. Encourage them, set an example to be a giver.
Amen.
Amen.
When God spoke about Abraham, he says, I've appointed him. Now, there's a minister who keeps saying to me, I'm appointed and anointed. And I've come to accept that. She says, because I'm appointed, I'm also anointed. And it is true. God cannot appoint you and not anoint you. So, if God says, I have appointed Abraham, he's also saying, I've anointed him to be able to teach his children and his wife to keep God's ways. And that's what we want men to do. You have been appointed. Teach your children. Teach your wives the ways of the Lord. Encourage and promote godly ways in the family. Sometimes when we reprimand young people here, they are surprised because at home, this practice that we say it's not good, it's accepted at home. They're just surprised why the leaders here are so funny, they are so strict, they are so much out of date. Because at home, nobody has said, this is wrong, my girl or my boy. You don't do this. This is not the right way to do things. So we are looking for men who will become trainers in their families and train. You know the beauty of the home, that's where you train preachers. You allow even a 5-year-old to preach. And the good thing is nobody will make the young one to feel ashamed. By the way, I come from a church where nobody laughs when children make mistakes. If we call the small Sunday school class, they do the memory verse and they miss and they have to repeat, nobody laughs. That's the law in my church. You don't laugh when children make a mistake. And my argument is, I am busy building people for the future. The reason why some of you are even afraid to stand up and testify, the reason why some of you are nervous when you're here, because somebody laughed at you very early. And you grow up easily feeling guilt, feeling ashamed, even when you're doing the right thing. So I say, you don't laugh at the children. That's the law in my church. Of course, I don't also allow anybody to make jokes about my children. You know, my boys were always big-bodied guys when they started early in life. I wouldn't allow you to make jokes about my boys and say they are fatty bombos. No. And don't allow it. Because you're going to have a problem later in life. The self-esteem of your son is being undermined by other people. I am very serious, I'm very busy raising people for the future, and you are making jokes about them. No, the friendship ends there. If you don't listen when I say I don't like it, the friendship ends. I don't owe anybody except to raise my children confident, great self-esteem, and raise them as godly people. And I'm saying to you, take your children very serious, especially the men. I'm going to speak about godly parenting at Nameko, so I hope you will be there. But I'm saying, if families would hold, just have your own devotions. If families would run their own services at home, it prepares everybody else. By the time you come to church, many people come here very hungry. Very hungry. This place is also a place of fellowship. We come and share. Now, let's not bring our families totally hungry. They've not eaten anything. The first meal they're going to get is from the pastor. You can train your children just from the family, hold devotions together, have prayer meetings together, have fasting. Let the children learn fasting at home. Let them learn giving at home. And the heads can promote that. These girls who are here know, I call them girls, but they are ladies now. 1 year we had to study the whole Bible in 1 year. You know what that meant? 7 chapters every day. And they were all in secondary school. I'm sure probably Maputi may have been doing matric at the time. But none of them failed because they were reading the Bible. And of course I let them read. You don't bring the Bible to our devotions, you only bring your notes. We're going to read the notes, not the Bible. So you must have done your homework. You also had to memorize the Bible, a verse or two for the week. And you had to do that with the studies. And I'm saying to them, none of them failed. Amen. The Bible or Christian things or the time we spent here, it's not a waste. I had a girl at work who said she wanted to go for a course in public speaking. And she needed 2,000 for that. I said, you may just as well come to my church. Yeah. She said, why? I said, we're training public speakers. She said, what do you mean? I said, yes, when we call people to come and testify, we're training public speakers. Okay. And that is true. Many people who make it here, they will make it everywhere else in life. Many people who are trained at home, they will make it. And I'm saying it's not a waste to invest in our families. I'm challenging the men. The family can become a good buffer against all ungodly influences and ungodly teachings. Remember, when there is persecution and they close all the churches, the only churches that will remain that no one can regulate against is a home. I always believed that I can start a church anywhere, because if I take my family, the 5 or the 6 of us, we are the church, then we can add it with all other people. And I'm saying to all of us, the family is a very important unit for doing God's work. And you can create an environment in which your children will know God. Somebody says the family is a place where people can meet God, your children can meet God, or miss Him forever. And I'm saying to the men who are here, may by God's grace you be strengthened and be assisted to lead your families. Strengthen your families, this church will become strong. Do well in your families. Your children, when they come here, they already know something. They're not starting from the beginning. I'm challenged by Job. You remember Job? Every time his children had parties, and the following day he would bring them, call them. We're going to pray. He would do sacrifices. He didn't even ask them if they did not insult God. He says, you never know. They won't even tell you. So I'm just taking precautionary measures and to make sure that I don't bring a curse on my family through the children. So you bring them sacrifices, confessions, and they pray, God, if somehow this children has misbehaved, please forgive us. We need such men. I've already told you about Abraham, whom God says he wants him to teach his children. That's why he has appointed him. When you read the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 29 to 31, you remember when Paul and Silas spent the night in jail. At midnight they are worshiping. God sends an angel, big storm, gates open, chains got loose, and the jailer was scared to death that he has lost the prisoners. And Paul says, no, we're still here. And this man take them to his house, wash them, and he acknowledges that they are men of God, and he asks them a question. What shall I do to be saved? What can I do? They say, you just believe, rely and trust in Jesus as your Savior. You will be saved and your whole family will be saved. And the Bible tells us they were saved that whole night. Because of this one man who asked, who made a choice, and I'm sure when he arrived, woke up all the children. I've brought men of God into the house. They are here to come and tell us how we can be saved. And those men preached. And everybody, when the father says, yes, we're taking him, normal family, everybody will follow. The reason why people get born again in drips and drabs in the families is because you either have the mother or one child be born again first. But once the father would make that decision, of course, once I'm born again, we're going to throw away all the things of other gods. You won't have them here. You won't bring pictures of naked women in my house. I tell you, it's my house. I've often told young people, you see, this is my house. You do in my house what I do, or go and find your own houses. Then you can do what you want to do. As long as you are in my house. And I've stayed with university students. And I told them, you stay in my house, you pay nothing, but you also make no decisions. One girl was saying during exam, he can't go to church because he's preparing for 2 papers. I said, no, not in my house. You go to church first, because you're going to teach my children that there is a reason for not going to church someday. So I said, no, as long as you stay in my house, you go to church first and then you can see your books. She did that and she never failed. But it starts with the head. You have the authority. How much more when you have this natural authority given plus spiritual authority? We can impact the world. And I want to ask that God help us as we men take our position, lead our wives, lead our children, strengthen our families, and we will help the church be strong. Remember, the people that we want to win are not here. The people that we want to win are your neighbors. And the neighbors would want to have seen a beautiful life next door. And they say, yeah, no, we want this. If you don't live that life that is attractive, it doesn't matter how much the church preach. The pastor will visit them and they say, are you the pastor for our neighbors? She says, yes. Well, if they are honest enough, they'll just say, if that's the God you serve, no, I don't want, thank you. But if we can train our children, strengthen our families as leaders, when the pastor comes, you have not even testified, they come. They say, are you the pastor of this family? I like that. I just didn't know how to get it. Now tell me, how can I be like that family?
Amen. Amen.
Your family is a church. And it's a church that can let people, help people to see Jesus even without explanation. By the time they hear about this Jesus, they say, if this Jesus is the Jesus of that family, I want him. I want to encourage men, take your children and your wives to pray. Sometimes women don't pray as much as women do. We are very busy with everything else. And even more busy for our children. And I always say to people, but who's spending more time with your children? Who is influencing your children more? Who is teaching your children more? Sometimes these people that we employ to look after our children when they are not there, when we are not there, they seem to have more time with our children. And even when we're back, we still want them to continue instead of taking over when we're back. Listen to our children, help them do homeworks, teach them about the Lord, ask them questions, answer their many questions. You know, small children have just too many questions. But just be patient with them. You are building future leaders, future men and women for God. And I'm saying as we conclude this weekend, or this month of May, I'm saying to my brothers, those of you who have families, those of you who are anticipating have families in the future, decide you will be the prophet, the priest, and the leader or the king in your house. You will take your little family, bring it to God, help them to stay there, and help them to impact the world for Jesus. I'm going to pray with the men. Ask the men to come. We all pray together that the Lord will help you. And by the men, I don't mean only men who are married. A man is a man again. A man is a man. So I'm asking all the men to come. Some men, you call them brothers, but they are men. We're going to pray together that the Lord will help us to take our role, our position. Remember, you also have spiritual authority. And I want to encourage all of us. Let's exercise it. Let's train people for God. Let's influence the world for God by starting to influence our own children. I said to my members someday, I'm appointing all of you to be pastors and preachers in the taxis, in the workplace, because people don't know that workplace. They think because you can pray, you are a pastor. Yes, you are. And I'm saying to you, you are already appointed by being heads of families, your pastor's name. Please fulfill your pastoral roles. You will always watch what the pastor does. Even if you just preach the same sermon she preached, because she's preaching to a complex group. Just pull it down, bring it to the level of your 5-year-olds. Just preach it again. Watch everything what your pastor do. You can go and imitate. They won't tell that you are imitating the pastor. Anyway, if they think you are imitating the pastor, you say, yes, I'm just his assistant here. And I'm saying to you, brothers, you have a great opportunity to impact the world, but you're going to have to impact your own children first. You're going to have to impact your own wives first. Let them know that you're godly made. We're going to pray. You hold your hands. We're going to pray. Heavenly Father, I want to dedicate this man to you. You said you have appointed Abraham to train, teach his household in your ways, seeing that his family was going to become a nation, and that nation will impact the nations of the world. We know today how the Jewish nation is still being used by God, scattered all over the world, how they are impacting the world. I am praying for this man. I'm bringing them to you. Spirit of the living God, work with them, work through them, work in them, work upon them, that they will impact first their children and their wives and their neighbors, and ultimately through their families impact the whole world. I pray that you have anointed them, anoint them again.
Yes, Lord.
I pray that you give them the courage.
Yes, Lord.
I pray that you give them the zeal.
Yes.
I pray that you give them the excitement to be pastors, prophets in their own families. I pray that you help them. They will not have all the answers, but Holy Spirit, you are there. Guide them through. They are human beings. Sometimes they will feel discouraged. I pray that encourage them, however. Encourage them through their wives. Encourage them through their children to continue to serve you. They are carrying out a very important role. I'm praying for them. I pray that your anointing will manifest. I pray that their families will become strong because of them and because you're with them. I pray that God show them the things that you want to do through them. We are trusting you. We are believing you. We want to bless your name. Let's all pray, brothers. Father, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's all pray.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Help us, oh God. Help us, Father, to be confident. Help us, oh God, to be eager to serve you from our own household throughout into the world. Holy Spirit, the anointing, your anointing should help us, and we trust in you. Father, I bless your name. Father, I glorify you. Father, I thank you. We want to continue in the mission of reaching out, the mission of making sure that through our ministries, through our resources, we reach the whole world before Jesus returns. We want to bless you. We want to thank you. Father, as we close this week, I pray that your word will remain in the hearts of each one of us. I pray that this ministry of being heads of the house will remain with us. Father, we thank you. Father, we bless your name. We want to glorify you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We bless you. We thank you. We trust you. And we know that you will do it because you are faithful. You have always been a true God. You have always been a faithful God. Walk with us like you did with Abraham. Walk with us like you did with Job. Walk with us like Joshua, so that we can declare that our houses, our household will be worship centers of the living God. I pray, God, in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you. Just remind the fathers, you mothers and children, that Papa, remember, you are the prophet, the pastor in this house. Keep encouraging them. Don't replace them. Encourage them to lead the devotions continually. Let them be in charge. They may appoint all of you to preach on a particular day, but remind them. Remind them. Because they have the authority. Once they say, TV off, time for prayer, the Father has spoken. Everybody will oblige. God bless.